How can founders select the right partners and staff? Hi, Patrick from Founder Revenue Academy. This episode is part of our People series and is episode number 7. So let's get started. This video is slightly longer than normal because it has two parts. We've got selecting partners and selecting staff. So first is the partners. We have a whole partnership module in which I go into detail on this topic, but in short, partners need to be selected based on what role they can help you fulfill. So could they help you acquire new customers, or could they help convert more customers, or can they implement customers more quickly, or stack together with their technology to make an enhanced value proposition, by way of example. So by splitting your partnership ecosystem into activities and what potentially they could do, and then understanding where you might be deficient, then you can really focus on the types of partners that you need because of where your gaps are and nurturing those relationships. So my advice would be to have a short list of partners to focus on based on the skill set that you're deficient in, and then really focus on your top 2 or 3. And then stop there, because you want partners who you're fully invested into actually start utilizing that channel as a lead generation, a revenue generation source, and really have an in-depth relationship with them. It's so much better than having 10 partnership agreements with 10 different companies, but nothing comes from it, because it just drags everybody down. On that basis, and how you get to nurture those relationships so they're really strong, is that it takes a lot of time. There's a very long tail when it comes to partnerships and channel sales. And this is where a lot of people fall over, because so many times I've witnessed partnerships get off to a bad start because one partner is solely wanting to access a database of clients and simply wants to get introduced without giving anything back in return. It's not a small business idea. Large businesses, and as a group quite recently, a large business wanted to do that with me and a few people in my network. All they wanted to do was just get introduced to customers who they didn't know. And so because that they hadn't done anything to warrant that ask, then there's nothing that really can be done from that. And it's just very obvious why they're trying to partner with you. And this, unfortunately, is really typical in B2B sales, that you think more people would have cottoned on to this, understanding that it is a failing strategy, but it's amazing how common it is. So think of it like this. A good partnership, it acts a bit like a bank account. So you deposit funds into that bank account up front and you start saving. And then when you need to draw funds out, you have the means to do that and won't be overdrawn. So I use this analogy a few times across different videos, but the point is you need to give, and then you give, and then you give one more time, having delayed the ask. So this is a great life lesson as well, just to constantly delay what you want by giving a lot of value up front. That's a nice strategy, especially when it comes to partners and things like that. So moving on to staff. So staff and team selection can be boiled down into what we call the 5 S's. So we go into this in a lot more detail in the structure module, but wanted to address the 5 parts here with a brief explainer. So first is your scorecard. So if you create a scorecard for your candidates that you're looking to certainly interview, that means that they can be assessed with the same metrics, same criteria, and then other members of your firm asking similar questions to ensure a consistency of experience, both an interviewer and candidate, and to make sure all of those candidates for the same role are being assessed against the same scorecard. So you've got a way of assessing each candidate from a quantitative point of view. So then second is source. Sourcing candidates is what recruiters do. There's a litany of recruitment firms out there, and they have databases full of candidates. It's also good to mine your own network to understand who might be a good fit for what you need. Then the third S is to select who you want. If you've done the first 2 steps, then you're already off to a good start. But the selection bit is based on both quantitative and qualitative inputs from can they do the job? Can you work with them? Did they score highly in aptitude, but also in the social tests, or whatever it might be? So this is not what a recruiter does. They won't help you select the right person. Clearly, they have a vested interest in you selecting whatever candidate they put forward, but it's important to know they won't help you objectively select the right person for the job. A talent acquisition specialist may do this for you, but selection is more likely to come from you. So you're thinking about, can you work with this person for a minimum of 2 years? Will they positively contribute to the role? Do they bring something extra? It might be something that they do outside of work, which would be interesting. It might be a tactic that they use, or whatever it might be. This is how you're going to select your particular person for the role. The next S, number 4, is what I think founders neglect, which is to sell the opportunity. Good candidates should be picky and have different offers, and so often will leverage against and play off offers against one another. And so you need to sell the opportunity to them and not just assume that because you are interviewing them, they will definitely take the job. So people are motivated by different things. It's money, commute from home, it could be culture. So if it's in office all 5 days a week, or it's hybrid, it could be the product you're selling, the market you're selling into, etc. So it's important to sell against what motivates them. I'm sure your business is great, but it's not the only one that they'll be interviewing for, and it's not the only business in the world. So you have to remember this as a founder. So have a little bit of humility and to sell the opportunity for what it's like to work at that business. So finally, the 5th S is start. By sending out, and after you sent out a cover letter and you contract a new employee, this will have a start date on it. Therefore, this date will not be a shock to you. So work backwards from that date in terms of what you need to get in place. If you're office-based, do they have a desk, a laptop, a notebook, or pen, or whatever it might be? Do you have that set up on the Friday, so when they come in on the Monday, everything's going to be there? Or do they have logins created, emails created, and their signatures created, licenses bought for them that they need to do their job? All these kind of software things. It no longer amazes me, unfortunately, how many businesses lose sight of how important it is to create a good lasting impression from day one for their new recruits. So it's an easy thing to get right because it's in your control. So creating a welcoming environment is great. And actually, in my view, having both a software and a hardware environment set up correctly that someone can plug into straight away, sit down, that's their desk, everybody knows that they're here, that's much more appreciated than some customary knee-jerk day one lunch out somewhere, which lasts for an hour but no more. It's just, I prefer to have the former definitely rather than the latter. So that wraps up today's video. Remember, we create these videos a lot to help our founders and run these mini-series on all the key pillars of scaling B2B tech startups. So if you haven't seen the other videos in this People series or the other series at all, please check them out. And also don't forget to join our community, where the link is below, where you'll see all this content and get to interact with many like-minded founders. I'll see you in there.